Hi, this is Jessica Corson with the New Moon Astrology, and today we're going to talk about the purpose and intent of this series. We're going to work on the general horoscope, what each of the houses mean, go through the sun sign, the moon sign, and the rising sign, and what they mean, and how you can use that to gain a better understanding of yourself, and maybe that gaining better understanding within yourself can help you within the choices that you make as you go forward. And it may help you gain better perspective of, things that have happened from the past, excuse me. So first, let's go ahead and start with the planets and, and the main three signs. The sun sign, that is who you are on a general daily aspect, any given moment. You typically act out of that sun sign place. It's the kind of just fair weather self. You're just kind of like, this is the person I am. And then you have your moon sign, and that's where your emotional self comes through. This is a primal state. This isn't something that you show to a whole lot of people. And then you have your rising sign. And your rising sign is the sign that is where the horizon was at your time of birth. And that changes at every moment of the day. So that's when we figure out what your rising sign is we need the birth time, because that makes everything completely accurate. Because if you have that base median line to start from, then you can kind of work your way out. So it's kind of like this place where we said, well, we're going to point here. And so even if you think about that in generalization with light, put your finger out, point there, and then this is going to be the baseline of where we're going to start things. And so whatever sign that constellation is in, so, the constellation of Aries or Taurus, that's where that will be. Each constellation rules a segment in the sky. So, like Aries rules the first segment, Taurus rules the second, Gemini rules the third, Cancer rules the fourth, Leo rules the fifth, Virgo rules the sixth, Libra rules the seventh, Scorpio rules the eighth, Sagittarius rules the ninth, Capricorn rules the 10th, Aquarius rules the 11th, and Pisces rules the 12th. And then we have all of the planets. And so each planet rules a different energy, a different connection with us. And so the sun is our creativity. It represents, let's call it a representation. It represents creativity, fatherhood. So the sun is that male, a male energy. And it's how you achieve success. So and also as the sun moves through the zodiac, it creates this illuminating. So when it comes into a house, it illuminates that house. The moon, like we said, that's emotion, motherhood. So that's why it's a female energy. So, and it's intuition, your gut instincts. So emotions, motherhood, intuition. And as the moon moves around, and that moves a little bit faster, so we have the 30-day lunar calendar-ish, 28 days, that will bring emotion to each house that it goes through. Mercury is our communication. It's travel, short distance travel. So it's like going from your home to the grocery store, going to work. It's those short distance things that we do, going to your aunt's and uncle's house, those kinds of things. Fourth house is our house of home, or not fourth house, sorry. Venus. Venus is love, beauty, money, those kinds of things. Mars is aggression, action, lust, conflict, war, those are the things that he rules over. Jupiter is business, education, law, faith, expansion. Saturn is restriction, obstacles, thrift, so it's the walls that kind of surround something because it holds. So say you have water and you want to scoop it up Saturn is the bucket that's going to scoop it up and hold the emotions. So, you know, within life, even though we don't like, you know, restriction and we don't like obstacles, it creates a form to something. It creates, so like when you go through something in life and you consider it an obstacle, you're going to create something out of that or experience something like that and learn something about that. Uranus is unexpected occurrences, intuition. What Uranus does is is that sudden insight, those sudden things, that sudden car accident. There's, you know, those things, the way that he kind of affects us is he kind of creates these little spontaneous pops. And that's great because then we get a chance for sudden new thoughts or sudden change or, you know, those kinds of things. It can be seen as a blessing and it can, you know, happen in negative ways too. It just all depends on the timing. Neptune is dreams, fantasies, visions, art, that rules like our movies and video and cinema and poetry and the things at night, the dreams, the disillusion, the illusion, you know, the deception that kind of filters in. And Pluto is order, sudden change, transformation, deep, deep feelings, feeling things at your core. And that's what each planet does. And so when you're born, there's like this snapshot, okay, and then, so where is the sun? And let's say, you know, the sun is over here chilling in your 9th house. So actually we'll put, you know, an S there for the sun. And then, you know, the moon is over here in your, let's say, I want the best kind of, the moon is over here in your 3rd house. Mercury is over here in your 10th house. Venus is over here in your 10th house. Let's say Mars is going to be over here in your 1st house. Jupiter is going to be over here in your 3rd house. Saturn is going to be over here in your 4th house. Uranus is going to be over here in your 5th house. And Neptune and Pluto. Okay, so this would just be like a pretend chart, okay, real quick. So the way that you would kind of look at this is you would start with the sun, and so the sun is shining when you're born. The sun would be shining on your 9th house. So generally you would really love to travel, and you know, you would have this idea of like, you know, seeking things out. The light would be shine on the fact that you would like to you would like to teach. You know, generally in life, you are a good teacher to others around you. Then we're going to go to the moon. And so emotionally, in the 3rd house, you know, you would really love those emotional connections within short distance travel. So, well, I guess we have 2 things. So short distance travel, long distance travel. So you might really have that emotional connection to traveling, you know, and connecting with people either from a distance or that's going to fill your emotional cup, is to connect with people, you know, socially, and to really communicate with them. And then let's go to Mercury. And so Mercury would be sitting over here in your 1st house. And so this person might really talk a lot about who they are. So this person may, you know, always, if you meet this person and you just feel like, oh my gosh, you talk about yourself a lot, this is here. You might be a person who really teaches people, you know, thinks about, you know, and your higher mind really connects within who you are. And you can act out, you know, within that. And so each different planet, whatever energy that it has, will kind of touch and expand there. And it can create, you know, so then you take Saturn. So say when you are born, Saturn is over here in your 4th house. It takes 28 years for him to go through, and he's our lessons and karma. So after 28 years, it's like this essence of starting again, but now you have all of the tools in your pocket to do it, you know, where this time Saturn was coming in and you were experiencing it all for the first time. So as we kind of work through these series within the videos, I will touch on each planet so that we know how that planet, what that role. So if you want to think about this as like, this is your cast. So here we have Saturn playing this part, or even a team of, you know, so if you have some kind of team, a basketball team, a soccer team, and all of these different planets are different aspects of who are on the team and how do they work together to get the job done. So, you know, they all play their major part. So if it's also a recipe, if you want to look at it as baking, you know, the Saturn is the eggs, that whenever you add eggs to something, it creates, you know, a form to something. When heat, Mars, is applied to it, water, the moon, you know, so every one of these also represents an element within, you know, our chemistry tables, our physics, and, you know, so it's very complex when you kind of look at it, and that's where you kind of take it at layers and develop. That's why, you know, learning your astrology is a lifelong passion if you're using it for internal use, and then, you know, if you're using it to help others, you know, it's always changing. So, you know, as we learn about it, it's just evolving, you know, and we're learning so much about how all of these things affect us on a cellular level. You know, we're even learning about how food, you know, putting nutrients in our body and putting this in our body all the time causes this. And, you know, so stop doing that. So it's kind of like the ingredient cosmically with that affects us. And once you kind of learn to tune into that and understand that, you know, okay, so let's take, for instance, you know, my Venus is in, you know, let's say it's in Capricorn. So that's when you add all of these different flavors to it, you know, so you think about, the way that I think about it is like the planets are like the major meat and potatoes of the meal. So it's like the bread and all of these different things that make up the general meal. So then within each one of those, there's like, you have the spices, you know, and that's how I feel about the zodiac signs, is it's like those are all the little spices, the salt, the pepper, the paprika, the this, the that, and it all creates a specific flavor within the whole meal. And so when you look at yourself as like all the ingredients that were put into you, you know, it helps you to understand, well, I have a concentrated amount of this, and I have, you know, this recipe doesn't really have a whole lot of this. So when you're trying to figure out what your life purpose is, and that's where my training is in, is the life purpose coaching part of it, is when you're trying to figure out what your purpose is in life, or, you know, how to kind of handle little obstacles that come up in your life in a more easy way with understanding, then you can kind of learn what these different things are. So say that, you know, you have Venus in the 10th house and you have Mercury. So, oh, actually that was Mars. Okay, so this is Mercury. We're just going to say it is. It can be whatever I want. So say we have Mercury in your 10th house. 10th house rules career. And career is that aspect of, you know, so you would be really good communicator within that career aspect, because when Mercury was there, it, you know, poured that into you. Let's say that was a part of your mixology, you know, so as you get into that aspect in your life where you are working, you know, you're going to be a good communicator within that. And then, and you're going to love it because Venus is love. And you'll also probably, you know, make a lot of money doing it because Venus rules money. Because, you know, Venus rules the second house. So, and the second house is money. So I'll go through that really, just a general, I mean, there's like a whole laundry list of things that each house governs. But so the first house is just generally, your birth, the mask, how you perceive the world, how the world perceives you. Your second house is money, values, and security. Third house is language, relativity, logic, short distance travel, how you communicate. Fourth house is your home environment and family origins, like so you and your 3 brothers, sisters, mom, and dad. And then that can even like spread out to grandma's, grandpa's, the family tree. And then fifth house is how you play, your romance, your joy. This is your daily routines, what you do on a daily basis, like from 8 a.m. until the following 8 a.m. Seventh house is how you project out into the world and how you perceive it. This is marriage, partnerships. So knowing this aspect of your life and figuring out this, that's what you're looking for in a partner. Who you when they do the compatibilities, like I would also look at your 7th house and see how you are when you partner and what best asset, would be for you. And I guess when I say that, I want to elaborate on that, is that's where your thought patterns are going. So when you're thinking about what you want in a spouse, you don't necessarily say, I want a Libra with this, this, and this. You're thinking about, I want the characteristics of this. This would be, so thinking about the positive characteristics of a partner that you would want to draw into your life. So, and then 8th house is this ability to transform. It's money, it's taxes, it's large inheritances, sudden windfalls, your partner's values. So you partner here, and then in this house, you're starting to think about, well, what do those people represent? Self-regeneration. So in this house, that would see how you would, transform something, that creative outlet. 9th house is your philosophy on things. How do you like to travel? Are you somebody that stays home and so like if you had Taurus in the 9th house, most likely you would, spend more time probably getting things off of the internet than you wouldn't really have the drive to maybe do a whole lot of traveling, because Tauruses really like to be home. So you may be a more introverted and like to share with people more in your home, maybe invite people from a distance to you. 10th house is your career, how people see you or where you will go within your career. So like, let's say your 10th house is Aries. You would know that within that Aries energy, you're a starter. You start things, you work well at leading. So, you would pick maybe those Aries kind of careers to shoot towards. 11th house is teaching, is your understanding about how you're going to work within other groups and organizations. And, what kinds of groups and organizations would you fit in well with, or would you like to connect with? Your friends. I mean, those are the friends that you draw into your life. So let's say you have Libra in the 11th house, or those are like, you're just going to want to partner with all the people, and you're going to have a large group of friends, and, you're always going to be, creating balance within the friend social circles and stuff like that. And then you have your 12th house, and that's your unconscious mind. Those are the things that you think you don't really, it's the breathing of life. That would be the way that you kind of, so let's say like when Saturn, or let's say Pluto or Neptune, Neptune comes in here, you're going to be kind of woohoo, way out there in fantasy land, because Neptune represents unconscious thought. And so this is your house of unconscious thought. So this may be a time in your life where you're just, or that might, because Neptune goes really, really slow. And so you may really be that dreamy person. This is the writer who's like writing all of these fantasies, because their Neptune is in their 12th house. So they have a wild imagination. And so then if you were to pair Pisces in that 12th house, holy cow. So you can kind of see how that all works. And so when you at least know, when you're looking at your general horoscope and you're reading, what does this mean? Or when you're looking, it doesn't even have to be your horoscope now, when you're trying to gain understanding of who you are, starting to focus on, your sun sign and then your moon sign, so that you know your emotional self, and then your rising sign, kind of where, hey, where am I going? That kind of gives you an insight to that. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm going to start kind of moving forward with, we'll start talking about the sun signs, and I'm going to make a video that talks about, each one of the sun signs, what they represent. I'm going to start making videos on the moon signs and what they represent. What does your rising sign mean? And then we're going to go into the planets and go in, like, what does it mean to, what does my Saturn mean? So if I have a Saturn in Aquarius, what does that mean? And then along the way, we will work on the horoscopes, like what's going on right now. So like, what does it mean? Like, as, Capricorn moves signs, or, anything like that. We'll touch on videos in current events that way. But my focus, my goal, my intention within this video and what I do is to really help people understand themselves a little bit better, so that as obstacles or things come up, you have accessibility to the tools that you need to create personal development. And then, understanding your emotions and stuff like that. And then also that purpose. Where am I going? Like, understanding why, your sun sign versus your moon, your rising sign. Your rising sign tells you so much more, because that's here and it's the start of all these houses. It sets that all into motion. And so when you look at that and you know where that baseline is, like we keep saying, like, where's my baseline? I just need to know my baseline. And then you can work your way out from there. And so that's why there's so much perspective that comes from knowing your rising sign. And it helps to kind of, again, help you along that path and understand. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you come back. I'm going to list below in the description, the Facebook group that I operate and administer. I post a general forecast every day that I kind of spend some time researching, and then I apply a picture, creative aspect to it, so how that resonated with me. So this is my creative outlet to kind of express, what astrology means to me, and I'm hoping that, the right people come in so that they resonate and, can hear me the way that they need to. And, maybe focus on getting some direction and where we're all going. So, sorry, I kind of trailed off there. So below in the description, there will be a link to my Facebook page, a link to my blog, and eventually soon my link to my website. And my hope going forward is to create some webinars where we can have some live virtual class time. Those will happen in my yoga studio. And this way, no matter how far you are, we can connect and have class together, even if it's just me talking through a YouTube video. So as we kind of develop, we'll kind of work on all of those things, but this is the start. And I thank you for your patience as this YouTube channel will evolve as I get more familiar with all of the aspects of getting the videos uploaded and all of that kind of stuff, working through the bugs. So thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. Again, connect with me on social media, and we can kind of build on this and work together. So thank you again, and have a great day. I'll talk to you again soon.